Hello again everyone, Kaibora here, and from popular request from the community, I am here to bring you a video on optimizing your PC for Escape from Tarkov. I will also be going over the issue of bottlenecking and what that means later on. But let's get things started. First, you will need to exit Escape from Tarkov. So once Escape from Tarkov is closed, you generally don't want any other programs open either, because the second step is going to require you to restart your PC. But the first thing I want you to do, if you go over here to the Windows key in the bottom left of your screen, you'll left click it, and you'll left click Settings, and it'll open this up. And you'll see the search bar will ask you to find a setting. So type in power save, and then you'll see this option come up. It looks like it's a outlet plug wrapped around a battery. So choose power plan. Your screen won't look like this unless you already have Ultimate Performance unlocked, but the average PC does not already have that. You should see balanced and power saver will be up here, preferred plans. So you'll just see balanced and power saver. More than likely balanced is already selected. Now if you do click the arrow to show additional plans, you will see that there's a high performance option. This is good to have on, but you won't see ultimate performance, which is what you want to achieve. The reason this is because Windows is all about power conservation. That's what they want for you, and I don't know why it helps them, but your computer is supposed to be a powerhouse. Your computer is capable of so much, but Windows puts it at a low power mode on purpose just to conserve energy. Now, it doesn't stress your computer any more than your computer's already supposed to handle, so it doesn't make it work outside of anything that it can't do. It's just you'll see that your electric bill for the month might go up by 50 cents, maybe, but you don't need a larger power supply or anything else. It won't ruin your system, so don't worry about it. But in order to unlock this, you will need to go down, and you can either right click on the start and select run, or on your keyboard in the bottom left corner of it, there's the Windows key that's in between the left control key and the left alt key. And you hold that plus R, and this will come up. You will type in CMD, just like that, then click OK. This is going to come up, and I already have it copied and pasted. But at this point, you can either right click and it'll paste it automatically, or you hold Control V and it'll paste this. Now I'm also going to share this with you in the description below the video, so you can copy it from there. Then when you come here, you can just paste it. You're going to click enter, and when you click enter, you're going to see this response, and all this is unlocking ultimate performance on your PC. So when that happens, you're going to see that it doesn't update here. You won't see ultimate performance yet. You will have to restart your PC in order to see this. So after you restart your PC, you'll have to go back to the start, click on settings, The settings will be here, and then you'll type in power save, choose a power plan, and it'll bring you back to here. And then most likely it's going to be under show additional plans. You click this, and then you select it, and that's it. And you're good to go. So now moving on to the second tip that will help your PC is you are again going to go to the run command, which you can get to by right-clicking start and selecting run, or clicking the Windows key in R, and it'll bring this up, and you will type msconfig. You'll click OK. This will come up. You want to select the second tab at the top called Boot. You'll see this screen. You'll want to go to Advanced Options. Under Advanced Options, you will see number of processors. You'll check this box. You will come down, select the number, go down to the highest number that you have. I'm on an i7 quad core, so I select 8 because whatever number of processors that you have physically, you actually have double that virtually. So really there's only 4 processors in the i7 quad core, but that number gets doubled to 8 because additional 4 are virtual processors. And that is actually what multi-threading is. And I will further explain that in the Escape from Tarkov options section, where it talks and shows you about use physical cores only. And you'll actually want that unchecked in Escape from Tarkov because it allows you to use the full processors. Now, you might be asking, well, why do I have to do this? So this is actually in a similar sense as overclocking your CPU, but it is done automatically for you by Windows. This is unlocking your full potential on your PC and your processors. Like I said before, with the ultimate performance mode, Windows is all about power conservation. And it's mostly made for laptops. They want to conserve power in laptops, but it's also programmed in desktops as well. So it's not going to take any more stress on your computer, and this will just force your computer to use its maximum power and capacity with the processors, and this will increase performance. It's valuable for all computers, regardless of how old or how new. You may see less of an effect on newer computers, like if they're like an i9 or better, just because they're already performing at a high-end rate, but you can still give it a try. It won't hurt it. And if you really like pushing your computer and doing a lot of things at once and just having the best of everything, it will still help. Now, don't pay attention to maximum memory. You don't want to check this at all. This will not increase any performance, and it will not force it to use its maximum memory or RAM. So just do this. After you select the checkbox number of processors, open this up, select the number, then you'll click OK. Then you'll click Apply. Then you'll click OK. It will ask you need to restart the computer to apply these changes. You're going to click Restart, but I've already had this done, so I don't have to do it. I'm just going to exit without restarting. So at this point, your computer will be restarting, and then once it restarts, It may or may not have a Windows update. I've helped other people with this before, and it seemed to give them an update afterward. I don't know if it was just coincidental or if it was part of the CPUs being unlocked that, it just had to update. But anyways, we move on back to Escape from Tarkov. So now that your PC is restarted and you have launched Escape from Tarkov, don't forget, before you launch Escape from Tarkov, go to your Windows settings. In the search bar, type in Power Save, select Power Save, go to the Power Save plan options, and make sure to select Ultimate Performance Mode. After that is done, you will come to Escape from Tarkov, go to the settings, you will look at your game settings, you will make sure that Auto RAM Cleaner is off unless you only have 8 gigs of RAM. If you have 8 gigs of RAM, you want Auto RAM Cleaner on because it will constantly refresh your RAM. But the reason why having this off is beneficial, because what does RAM do? RAM is memory. RAM stands for Random Access Memory. So it stores the stuff that you load in when you escape from Tarkov. Now, it's also a double-edged sword. Sometimes Escape from Tarkov has a memory leak, which it just keeps eating up RAM and eating up RAM and eating up RAM, which you can either get rid of by restarting Escape from Tarkov, or you can select this, you'll click Save, and it will take effect immediately. And I would recommend that if you have over 8 gigs or even 12 gigs, maybe 12 gigs, you might need to turn on too. It's just that you don't hear of that too often because most people, they run in increments of 8 rather than 4. But so make sure to turn this off and make sure that if you are aware of the kind of PC that you have, if it has multi-threading, which you will know that when you go through the unlock the processor step that I had you do in msconfig, and then you select the number of processors. If you know you have a quad core and you can only select 4 processors, then you want to use only the physical cores because you don't have multi-threading. Multi-threading is when your CPU has access to virtual processors, which is multi-threading. So you make sure that this is unchecked, and just that we're here, this isn't going to really affect your performance or FPS, but your field of view, you're going to want it between 59 and 63 to be the optimal setting overall. But it's not bad to have it at 50. I would definitely not recommend having it over 65 because the way Escape from Tarkov's field of view is and works is it's not the same as other video games' field of view. The average field of view in most games is 90 degrees, and the equivalent of 90 degrees in Escape from Tarkov is actually 59. So if you want the standard field of view that you would get in other first-person shooters or other similar games, you'll want it at 59. The reason I put mine at 61 is because I am that type of person that would prefer to have it around the middle between the lowest and the highest. And I know 63 is more of the average, but that's just the way I have it set up. The biggest difference is the smaller the FOV, you have a smaller peripheral vision, but because it's smaller, your targets actually appear slightly bigger. So getting headshots is more optimal. It's more easy to put your sight on the head. Now, The confusing part with that is if you look down a scope, even a 1 times, so if you're using a Valday or an Elcan and you're looking down the 1 times, the smaller the FOV, the smaller looking through the scope is. And it's really weird how it works in this game. But now when you increase that field of view, looking down a scope, even if it's a 1 times, the actual reticle in circle that you're looking through gets bigger. It's really weird how that works in Escape from Tarkov, but that's the way it is. Some people I know that if they're going specifically sniping, they'll actually put their field of view all the way in 75. Because when you put it all the way in 75, not only is your scope actually bigger that you're looking through, it actually reduces vignetting more. Vignetting is that black shadow that you get when you first look through the scope. It's when you have like that black ring around it. I don't have an image right now, but it's pretty easy to look at and compare if you do an offline raid. So moving on from field of view, you'll make sure that you save before going on, and come the graphics. Now you generally want a 16:9 ratio. You want to run it in full screen. You want VSync on because it helps reduce tearing. And I don't know if anyone understands what VSync actually is, but VSync is supposed to make your graphics card put out the same FPS that matches your screen. Now, a lot of these are actually capped at 60 with the standard programming of the system. But there are ways to uncap it, and it depends on the graphics card that you have. There are guides out there that will walk you through the steps on the NVIDIA GeForce Experience and the AMD, but that is just a little small part to what I'm showing. This is going to help you out the best. Now, I have an i7 processor and a GTX 1070. And you're probably like, oh wow, he has all this stuff on ultra and high and all this. And you want to know why? It's because my computer was bottlenecking. The GTX 1070 is a better graphics card than my processor. So what happened is my computer was bottlenecking because I had all these settings low. Now, when you have all your settings low, your computer thinks that you have a crappy graphics card. So what does it do? It puts more load and stress on the CPU. But because my graphics card was actually better than the CPU, this is not a good thing, and it actually decreased my frames per second. So when I found out about this, I came in, I turned everything on high or ultra, and I actually noticed an FPS increase. And it was amazing. I was surprised. I would tell people about it and they didn't seem to understand. I helped my one streamer friend, and he copied the settings because he has a slightly better graphics card than me, but he has the same processor, and it worked for him too. He couldn't believe it. And it's because the game is unoptimized too, so different settings work with different things. So if these settings don't work for you, play around with it. You might be surprised. You might find that having shadows on low or high or ultra doesn't change nothing. That's what it is for me. Me having shadows on low or ultra does not affect my FPS at all. It does put a little bit more stress on the graphics card, which is okay. This is okay because before my Task Manager was showing that my CPU was 70%, and my GPU is about 20 to 30% when I was playing Escape from Tarkov. And when I changed all this, my CPU actually went down to about 50% of its usage, and my GPU went up to 50 to 60%, which is what you want. You want your GPU to be close to the same as your CPU or higher. It's not bad if it's higher at all. Your GPU is meant to take it, it's supposed to, that's good. Now, if you're running at about 100% of your GPU, I'd try to back off a little bit and lower some of these. But you got to remember, results will vary because the game is unoptimized, and some things might work for some people, others it won't. So check all these out, see what works for you, what works best. I recommend to keep resampling at 1x off though. If you have a really low NPC though, you can actually do the downsampling, downsampling reduces the graphics and power of the graphics card being used. So it can actually increase performance if you're actually suffering really bad. But super sampling, that's a specific thing on really high-end graphics cards, and I just find it better to keep it at 1x off. Now, all these other ones, like I said, you can mix and match, try what works best for you. There is an FPS counter. If you push the tilde key, it's to the left of the numerical 1 key in the top left for your keyboard, and you can type in FPS space 1. Make sure it's all lowercase, and you'll see that there's an FPS counter up here. If you type in FPS 2, there's a more advanced FPS chart to look from, but that's not as important as just using the standard. And then to turn it off, you just type in FPS space 0 and it'll go away. So you can use that while in game. I'm actually going to show you a trick here in a little bit with the hideout. You can actually check your FPS in your hideout. But going forward, you want to make sure you have all these at the bottom unchecked. There's no reason to really have any of these checked. None of them help you. It actually only puts more stress on your PC as a whole, and there's no reason to keep them on. Now, sharpness, you want sharpness between 2.0 and 3.0. You want it at least at 2.0 because it actually helps to outline stuff in game more. It's very minimally noticeable, but it helps a lot more than you think, having it at least 2.0. So once you have all this set up, you want to look at the overall visibility and the object LOD quality and the shadow visibility. Shadow visibility doesn't really do anything for me at all. Having shadow quality at ultra just helps add, more stylish shadow effect. But now some people talk about object line of distance quality, which is how far that you can see actual objects in the game. I don't have a problem having it on 2, but I've heard others say that you need it at least on a 3 in order to see things through a scope from far away, regardless of what it is. But I've never had an issue. I've been using that this way for a long time now, and I would recommend having the overall visibility to at least 1000. If you really are trying to optimize, you can put it at 400, but you are going to notice that you don't see a lot of things in the distance, you will always see a PMC. But if you actually test this out, if you put it on 400 and you go to reserve and you're by the train station on reserve, you actually won't see the dome tower at the other side of the map with the 400 overall visibility. Not sure how much that helps. If you look through a scope, you will see it, and it's really weird. You'll see it through the scope, but just in your normal view, you won't see it. So I would recommend to at least 1,000. I play it with here. That's what works for me. That's what I'm used to. Now, make sure you click save. And moving forward, I wouldn't mess with PostFX. Unless you have a really good PC that can like take it, then yeah, you can go for it. Like if it doesn't affect your frames at all, go for it. These are the settings that I use that I find to be the most beneficial. And I keep it off because I just prefer to use the natural settings of the game. This makes it look different, and I just feel it's not for me. You know, I'm used to it without it on, so that's what I like. I'm successful with it, so why fix what's not broken? A lot of people swear by this, but it's not a necessity. So after you save, this is the trick I was going to show you. You can go to your hideout, and in your hideout, you can push the tilde key. Again, it's to the left of your one key at the top left of your keyboard. And you will type in FPS space 1, and it will show your FPS. Now, I don't know if you remember when you saw me turn it on in the main menu, but I was getting around 120 to 140. But now I'm in a hideout, it's less because it's rendering a lot more stuff. And you can actually check this out yourself. If you have your task manager open, you can see the difference in your GPU and CPU usage when you go from the main menu to your hideout. You'll see it increases by quite a bit, just as if you were in an actual raid. Now I'm going to show you another trick to get a quick test instead of loading into an offline raid. Even though I would recommend loading into an offline raid is the best test of this. If you really want a quick testing of it, go to your hideout and just hold either the A or D key to move within your hideout. And you'll notice if you keep moving back and forth where you have more stuff, you'll see that the FPS drops, and that's going to be your most consistent FPS within the game. So you see how mine drops to about 57? That's pretty accurate. I usually average about 55 to 60 FPS while in a game. So that's actually what you want to aim for. It is best to just have at least a 60 FPS, or even 50. That cuts the mark. There's really no need to have anything higher unless you're trying to run it in like 4K resolution or just really high. You will notice that there actually isn't. Sorry for the motion sickness. I didn't mean that. But there's really not a big deal from someone who has a 120 FPS to someone who has 60. It's very, very minimal. And they really don't have an advantage over you. Well, I really hope you liked the video. And I hope it helped everyone out. Low-end PC users to high-end PC users. I hope you guys all got something out of it. And I appreciate if you like and subscribe. That helps me out. And it will allow you to also see my future content much easier because you'll get a notification. I appreciate everyone viewing this. Have a good one. Bye.